Breaking: U.S. Navy just unveiled their insane new weapon the world has never seen, North Korea crapping their pants. The United States with President Trump at the helm has decided to send out the alert that we will no longer be stepped on and treated like a red-headed stepchild. To this end, we have intervened with at least one dictator and put the fear of God into ISIS, and that was just last week. The ever-present danger of North Korea and its sissy leader, Kim Jong-un, has not gone unnoticed, and the president has vowed that their nuclear presence will no longer be ignored. They are going to have to get in line or else. The or else part is going to be enforced partly with the help of the Navy's newest high-powered destroyer. Via breaking defense. National Harbor, the long-delayed supercarrier Gerald Ford should set sail for builders' trials this week, the head of Naval Sea Systems Command said today. If those builders' trials and subsequent Navy acceptance trials go well, Vice Admiral Thomas Mudd told reporters at the Sea Airspace Conference here, I think we'll get the ship delivered in the April to May timeframe and then we can move on with commissioning. As America's first all-new carrier designed since the Nimitz in 1976, the Ford class will serve at least into the 2070s. But many of their escorts will be late-model Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, so-called Flight 3 updates of a 1980s design whose first ship, DDG-51, was commissioned in 1991. That's why the Navy is brainstorming a next-generation future surface combatant, aiming to solicit design proposals from industry around 2020. DDG's a great class of ship. But we're never going to build Flight 4, we need to move on, Moore said. It's probably time for us to work from a clean sheet. Moore is on a steering committee for the Clean Sheet Future Surface Combatant, along with three-star counterparts from the Navy staff, UPNAV, and the operational fleet. The idea is to have warfighters, shipbuilders, and budgeteers working together from the start, instead of one group coming up with unrealistic requirements for a supership the others can't build or can't afford. Below the three-star panel, Moore said, there'll be a working level group at the 1 or 2-star level that will come back and present us with concepts and a plan of action, and we'll go back to the CNO, the Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral John Richardson. I'd expect we would formally kick this off at the DoD 5000, regulation, level, where we have a charter and we start working on an analysis of alternatives, probably at the end of this summer. What does this mean for our enemies? Well, pretty much anything we want it to. This is going to mean even more versatility for our Navy, and hopefully a little more respect from our enemies who threaten to use nuclear weapons against us. It becomes a vicious cycle with these nuclear weapons if it's not gotten in hand quickly. The superpowers don't want every little warlord having the ability to wipe some other country off the map, so they crack down on the countries that have the dangerous weapons. If the short-sighted little countries happen to have already gotten their hands on the dangerous stuff, it's kind of a standoff trying to relieve them of it without their pulling the trigger. The U.S. Navy is the force being moved by President Trump at the moment to sit at North Korea's front door and put a little bite behind our bark. The president has shown that he won't hesitate to use force to protect the innocent. Unfortunately for those in North Korea, their leader is far less worried about their well-being than his own feelings. His tests of nuclear weapons is what's been getting him in trouble in the first place, and since the only thing that anyone has against him is that he's got nukes, it stands to reason that his plans for them are to expand his own reign at the expense of others. Thankfully, the United States is a country dedicated to squashing out the bullies in order to ensure peace for the future. While we are sometimes criticized for using force, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and using some prevention now could save millions of lives and untold devastation later. So yes, we're a superpower, and yes we like our military toys, but keeping the world safe is a thankless job, so don't be hating on us for finding a little joy in it. Pissed off Mike Pence just issued huge threat to North Korea that no VP has ever said before. Kim Jong-un has been a thorn in everyone's side for years and he is not going away anytime soon. However, what makes it worse is that under the Obama administration, Kim Jong-un's antics were allowed to continue. Though under the administration of Trump that is all about to change, And that was proven after what VP Mike Pence had to say this on Monday. Vice President Mike Pence is on a roll right now and it is awesome to watch. Currently, Pence is in Asia speaking to our allies and checking on our defenses. But, it was what he said last night that has everyone talking. Pence held a joint press conference with the leader of South Korea, and he had some strong words for Kim Jong-un. Pence sternly told the North Korean dictator that era of patience was over, and our commitment to South Korea was ironclad. Mike Pence also went on to say to Kim Jong-un that he should not test the resolve of President Trump. Pence also went on to say that all options are on the table to deal with the threat presented by Pyongyang. Of course, the left will try to spin this as Trump and Pence initiating war, but that is hardly the case. For years, we have been patient and tried to negotiate with a madman, and it has failed miserably. Pence is right about all of this. Now, it is time for a new approach, and I can honestly say that it is about damn time. Mike Pence is not calling for war since that does not do anyone any good. We all want peace and to resolve this issue properly, but the old way has failed. We cannot continue to travel the same path of negotiations and expect different results. In fact, that is the definition of insanity. While the rest of us may be cheering over this news, it seems that Russia is not as excited. According to Daily Mail, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said, "We do not accept the reckless nuclear missile actions of Pyongyang that breach UN resolutions, but that does not mean that you can break international law. I hope that there will not be any unilateral actions like the one we saw recently in Syria." Last night, the U.S. refused to rule out a preemptive strike on North Korea as Trump's national security advisor warned the situation was coming to a head. After the rogue state ran a missile test that failed, National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster said all our options are on the table to try to avoid the worst. All I can say at this point is that I am glad that we have some real change in charge. Our current administration has a real chance at fixing what the previous administrations have not been able to. But, truth be told, the ball is in North Korea's court. I can only hope and pray that they do not push the resolve of President Trump or VP Pence. These guys are not as easily swayed as Obama and his minions at all. What do you think about Pence's threat? Will North Korea listen to reason and lie back, or will we end up in a nuclear war? Sound off in the comments below. Breaking: Russia and China sense warships with surprise for U.S. fleet, media stunned. China and Russia have sent intelligence-gathering vessels to chase Donald Trump's armada to North Korean waters, it has been claimed. The U.S. president has dispatched the USS Carl Vinson aircraft carrier, powered by nuclear reactors, carrying almost 100 aircraft and accompanied by destroyers, a cruiser, and a submarine to the Korean peninsula. But there are reports in the region that the fleet is now being tracked by vessels belonging to the Chinese and Russian navies amid mounting concern over America's deployment. The claims were made by multiple sources of the Japanese government, according to the Yomiuri Shimbun. They are reportedly planning to strengthen warning and surveillance activities in the area. It comes as Russia warned Washington against launching a unilateral strike on North Korea, after U.S. Vice President Mike Pence said the era of strategic patience with Pyongyang was over. This is a very risky path, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said at a news conference in Moscow. We do not accept the reckless nuclear missile actions of Pyongyang that breach UN resolutions, but that does not mean that you can break international law, he said. I hope that there will not be any unilateral actions like the one we saw recently in Syria. Pence on Monday warned North Korea not to test President Donald Trump's resolve, declaring that all options are on the table for curbing its missile and nuclear weapons programs. Defying international pressure, the North on Sunday tried to fire another missile in an attempt that failed, but which fueled fears that it may be preparing for its sixth atomic weapons test. Pence said that the era of U.S. strategic patience in dealing with the North was over, after more than 2 decades. In the past 2 weeks, the world witnessed the strength and resolve of our new president in actions taken in Syria and Afghanistan, Pence said. North Korea would do well not to test his resolve, or the strength of the armed forces of the United States. Nancy Pelosi bashes Trump, what Trey Gowdy did to her will shock you. Earlier this week, Democratic Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi gave a press conference in which she slammed Donald Trump over the scandal involving the resignation of his National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Afterwards, South Carolina Representative Trey Gowdy went on Fox News to blast Pelosi and her fellow idiot Democrats. The Daily Caller reported that Gowdy told Fox News host Martha McCallum that Pelosi, Elijah Cummings and the rest of the House Democratic caucus took an 8-year-long vacation from doing oversight on the executive branch. Gowdy went on to say that after watching Pelosi's press conference, he thinks his colleagues have amnesia. "I will say this," he said to McCallum. "They are very well rested because for 8 years, they didn't lift a finger to do oversight. All of that energy you saw today at their press conference, that is because they went on an 8-year-long vacation from doing oversight over the executive branch," Gowdy continued. "I am all for the committees of jurisdiction, looking into it. I am also for looking into how classified information can make its way into the public domain." H.T. Wright journalist. "That is not a Republican issue or a Democrat issue. It's a legal issue. Look, new pictures of Obama's on boat emerge over weekend and everyone immediately notices one sick thing. They've spent the last month quietly recuperating in French Polynesia since leaving the White House earlier this year. But Barack and Michelle Obama interrupted the quiet island life they've become accustomed to this weekend with a star-studded jaunt out to sea. The former first couple joined Bruce Springsteen, Tom Hanks and their wives on music mogul David Geffen's super yacht Rising Sun on Friday, making quite the splash as they arrived at the vessel off the island of Moorea in a spruced-up speedboat. Once on board, the Obamas played tourists, posing romantically on the upper deck while they had their photograph taken. Michelle, 53, showed off her world-renowned physique in a pair of white shorts and a black tank top. She let her usually coiffed hair fall wildly at her shoulders, elegantly slinging a brown